I'm Jay Jurgen. We're in Greenfield, Tennessee, which is the northwest corner. We farm here with my family. Patrick and my dad, Ronnie, would be the Jurgens. And my wife and mother are on the operation with us, and we raise corn, wheat, soybeans, and beef cattle. We do run I guess you would say a closed herd. We will retain heifers, calves to rebreed. We change out bloodlines by changing bulls. So we'll breed just commercial cattle. Most everything here is Angus influenced with some Herefords. Like most things, we would like a uniform product to sell, which is tough in the cattle industry. So a lot of times we will synchronize the breeding even though we're using natural bulls. So we will get all the cows in sync, and we will put several bulls in at one time and hopefully get them all bred so they will calve in a short window. The poultry and pork people have done a better job of creating uniform product. Like it or not, some of the animals raised more in a confined situation are a lot more uniform. Therefore, they can flow smoother through the supply chain, as far as packing and all that. Beef is so different breeds. People think this breed's better, that breed. Some animals are really big, a lot of fat, some are lean. There's so many different ways to do it. The product is not that uniform, which is a problem in the supply chain. Cows can make a meal off a lot of things. So as long as the nutrients are right, the protein's right, they don't really care. They kind of know what they need and how much. And we keep mineral out free choice. Cows need different magnesium, and there's all kinds of minerals, like us taking a vitamin, and they're good about knowing how much of that they need too. We do rotational graze. Mainly fescue would be the type of grass we have here. Some Bermuda. We've got clover in a lot of the pastures, and then in the winter months, in the fall, we will drill. There's a lot of crops you could do. We know the most about growing wheat. We have wheat available, so we will drill wheat in the fescue. Wheat will grow all winter and stay green, so we try to keep something growing, and then we'll rotate pastures as they graze the wheat down real short, give it time to come back.
My name is Ron Blair. I'm interim director here at Lone Oaks Farm in Middleton, Tennessee. So what we do here at the farm in our STEM program is we take the concepts that school teachers teach in their classroom, K through 12, and we bring those young people to the farm, and we show practical applications to those concepts that they teach in the classroom. What we try to do is we focus every teaching experience with standards and problems that teachers are having in a classroom that may be very hard to conceptualize in a two-dimensional format. We are trying to get teachers to understand that there's maybe a different way to teach. The lesson plan looks a little different. Our classrooms look a lot different. But what we find is young people get engaged when they're outdoors. And our challenge for our young people, and I think it's our challenge for our school teachers, by 2050, there's going to be almost 10 billion people on this planet. And that's a huge challenge. And we're not going to do that with more farmers. We're going to do that through science, technology, engineering, and math, and this is a great place to start.
Hello, my name is James Yoder. We are at Yoder Brothers Meat Processing in Paris, Tennessee. We have selected a specific breed that we feel has some of the best meat qualities, both tenderness and the amount of yield that we get. So we're using Piedmontese that originated from Italy and is from the Piedmont region of Italy. They have a gene called myostatin, and it causes double muscle. So what's going on there is you're getting a lot of red meat per pound of live weight. We're crossing that breed with a Angus Simmental type cow. So that's a F1 cross. The resulting calf is what we want for meat. With your selection of breed and management and how you feed, how much you allow the animal to mature, and you have the ability to put another 1/4 of an inch on his size before you harvest him, that's an astronomical amount of weight. I mean, we're talking about up to 50 pounds more weight at $4 to $5 a pound on an average across your ground trim and your roasts and your steaks. You do the math, that's a pretty good chunk of money. So to me, that's the big thing, understanding when to harvest.
My name is Patterson Freeman with McWhorter Farms. Today we're welcoming the STEM tour with Farm Bureau as they come to the farm as we discuss embryo transfer and IVF technologies that we've used to grow the cow herd throughout the farm. Here's just kind of a breakdown of what ET and IVF is. It just involves the removal of an embryo from a female, superior genetics, which we're considering donors here. And then we place that embryo in the reproductive tract of an average genetic producer, a recip. The goal of ET is just that. Is to obtain the maximum number of genetically superior embryos in a minimum amount of time. So those of you who aren't familiar with what a donor is, a donor cow is what we consider a cow that's a little bit higher echelon than everybody else. Maybe out raising other cows, and a little more genetic potential to her than all the other cows do. So we start evaluating those donors, and then that's how we really put forth the growth in this herd. These are just 6 of our donors we're operating on right now. I think I've got a slide up here. I think we're running 13 or 15 donor cows right now. So there's about 15 cows on this whole farm that are responsible for 90% of all the calves on this place. But the 2 things we mainly specialize in, embryo transfer, which is, you'll kind of hear me discuss as ET, and kind of the new one we've been in just the past couple of years is in vitro fertilization. Is when I go with my group of donors, what do we need to improve on in our herd? Have we gotten into some genetics that aren't as sound, structure-wise? Do we need to start fixing feet and legs? Do we need to focus on growth traits? Have our cattle got a little light at weaning, a little light at yearling? Are they born too small at birth? All those things affecting the overall growth of these cattle through their life. I got 2 bred recips with these matings, ended up with 3 calves. It's a pretty rare deer. I actually had an embryo that split, and she ended up giving me 2 pregnancies from that, and it ended up working out. They're both heifers. So for some of you that aren't familiar, if a cow has twins and it's a bull heifer, the heifer will be sterile from that mating. She won't breed. So we lucked up and ended up being 2 heifers. But she's produced, she's a cow that produced 54 oocytes for us that time, the 28 embryos just got 2 pregs out of, and Ned's one of them.
Hi, I'm Todd Winters. I'm Dean of the College of Agriculture and Applied Sciences at the University of Tennessee at Martin.
I'm Diane Watson. I'm an assistant professor here at the University of Tennessee at Martin.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about reproductive physiology of beef cattle.
Different aspects of reproduction, different ways that reproduction can be used, and different ways that it can be taught in the classroom to help students glean the information.
The big goal here for beef cattle reproduction, and that's what we're going to concentrate on, is we want to produce 1 calf per year. And then we're trying to improve the genetics, the different production traits. Okay, we want to have the right amount, that we want to have that big ribeye, in the steak. We want to have a proper amount of marbling. You want them, other things that you might not think about that are related to reproduction, like calving ease is a big thing, mothering ability, disposition. Those are all traits that are related to genetics. A 3% improvement in birth rate nationally would produce 1 million more beef calves per year.
Hormonal control. Without hormones, there is no reproductive cycle. So 1 level of control, 2 levels of control, and everything triggers the next, and then we cycle on through. You have the dominant follicle here, and then getting them to understand that this is day 0, and then all the way back around, and that day 4 through day 18, again, about 15 days total, they're making progesterone. Okay, it's coming from that corpus luteum, and that is key to then trying to explain to them how we can manipulate estrous cycles, how we can get everybody in heat on the same day, so I only got to pay that AI guy to come out once. Fresh egg, fresh sperm, much better odds of conception.
Okay, my name is Christine Gertain, and I'm the Director of Authentic Science at Toms River High School South and Toms River High School North in Toms River, New Jersey. So I was lucky enough to get introduced to ag as a possible topic for student research projects. Then I was able to find out later on about the On the Farm program, and this On the Farm program with the beef checkoff and also the Tennessee soy supporting that, and the Farm Bureau has really exposed me to the genetics that are behind beef production and the thought that goes into that process, and also the nutrition background that goes into the feed, and then the different cuts that were being talked about at the slaughterhouse and what they look for in the quality of the meat, and also all of the process and thought that goes into that for the care for the animals.
Hi, Hi, I'm Naomi Lindsey. I'm an educational outreach coordinator at the Georgia Institute of Technology. First, we would probably start off by, asking the students if they've ever heard of like IVF, which is something that we do in human beings, and then breaking it down and talking about the similarities between IVF or the embryo transfer within animals and how that compares to human beings. And then from there, talking about the technology that kind of goes into that.
Hey, my name is Tessa Rogers. I am from Missouri. School district is Hayti Public Schools. An example of what I feel a phenomena is something that makes a student question something that they observe, and then they say, well, I wonder why, or I wonder how, or if I do this, would it change something? So from this trip, there's lots and lots of phenomena, but the one that stood out the most is, why do cattle herd? When they're stressed, why do they all face the same direction?
Hi, I'm Chris Thompson. I am from the state of Utah. I teach at Box Elder School District, and I am an agri-science and agricultural educator and also an FFA advisor. I found it fascinating that when they were talking about being able to determine the gender of the semen for reproductive purposes, that they send it through this filter that separates it based on density. And it makes sense to me that the semen with the Y chromosome has less DNA material than with the X chromosome. Physically, it has less material, and I'd never made that connection, and I'm totally putting that into my curriculum.
My name's Kyle Sievers. I'm from Toms River, New Jersey, and I'm a high school science teacher. Agriculture provides a great example for hands-on science. And when we look at, the direction where we see at least our biology classes going, we see a switch to molecular science. And when you focus on the molecular, you're focusing on abstract. And that creates a disconnect. But if we use examples of cattle, corn, soybean, things that kids can see, things that kids can touch, things that kids are familiar with, we have the potential to go and reestablish a connection behind what we're doing has real life relevance to it. It's not just what we see in a textbook that we can never see with the eye.
So my name is Donna McGovern. I am a high school biology teacher in Bernox-Westerlo Central School District in upstate New York. Make sure that everybody, even elementary school, to make sure that we are doing a great job of incorporating agriculture into our lessons and to our curriculum, so that students understand where their food comes from. It doesn't just miraculously appear.
My name is Carrie Raymond. I work at Bernox-Westerlo School District. It's a small rural district outside of Albany, New York. Using ag to teach science, when they're engaged, the students will learn. If you miss the engagement piece, your students stop learning or maybe don't begin learning. So by using agriculture in science education, you have them hooked, you have them engaged. Now they want to know about genetics. Now they want to know about the nitrogen cycle.
My name is Nicole Hopkins. I am a teacher at Alpine School District in Utah, and I teach animal science, floral design, and ag biology. A lot of the farms that we went to, these are family owned and operated. They are doing STEM stuff all the time, but those things never get highlighted because that's not what we think of when we think of STEM. And I think this experience is allowing teachers that may have only thought of STEM as a buzzword to realize that no, STEM's happening everywhere. We just didn't know it, and now we're being able to bring these concepts that we learned on the farm to our students.
Okay, my name is Leanne Thiel, and I teach in Jackson, Missouri, Jackson Senior High School. I have learned so much because I've done science fair for several years, and I always have had kids who've been interested in doing agriculture projects and plant science projects, but I didn't have the background knowledge to really help them with any of those projects. There were so many phenomena that I appreciated being a novice in agriculture. Just seeing the whole picture from start to finish. I was probably the one with the least amount of knowledge, and I probably am coming away with more knowledge than I've learned in a college class lately. Just having this immersive experience.
My name is Cassie Joyner. I am from the great state of Utah. I teach in Weber School District, and I teach agriculture education, and I also serve as an FFA advisor. I think one of the coolest phenomena that I saw while we were out touring various industries related to beef cattle was the whole idea behind genetics and improving the stock from generation to generation. The farmers were our first scientists, and the industry is ever changing, and we're going to have to use a lot of science in this industry of agriculture to be able to feed our growing populations.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Huey. I teach at Toms River High School North in New Jersey. The levels that I teach range from college prep to AP. I teach AP Environmental Science and Biology. When I was out in the field, I saw genetics. Something I cover in biology. We talk about F1 crosses and F2 crosses with pea plants, never about cows, and that's what we talked about. That was our first stop, talking about the different crosses between different types of cows and how certain crosses produced a different product, and that was the product that they were essentially looking for. Some of the observable phenomenon that I saw being out in the field, I'm definitely taking back to my classroom. I'm going to share my experiences with my students and really encourage them, if they do enjoy science, to maybe move over to agriculture.
My name is Kane from Bernox-Westerlo Central School, and I'm the College and Career Readiness Coordinator. Prior to going on this tour, I knew that agriculture and science were related. I didn't quite ascertain how connected they were. You could literally teach science concepts through agriculture and vice versa. So I think that gave me an entire new lens to look at the curriculum.
Hi, I'm Michaela Care. I'm a high school agriculture teacher and FFA advisor, and I teach at Bernox-Westerlo Central School in upstate New York. I think that one of the best insights I got as an educator was to, instead of approaching things from what I know as an educator, approach it from how are the students seeing these events and observations that are all around us all the time, and coming at it from a student's perspective, and then working your way backwards. How can they be incorporated into the classroom and into the curriculum for those national, the next gen standards? A lot of times our students think of farming or agriculture as just farming and just production. However, we can take that and say, you're a consumer of these products. You eat meat, or you consume vegetables, or you're wearing certain clothing all the time. How does that connect to agriculture? So showing them the connections to what they have in everyday life and how they utilize it in everyday life is awesome. And it's definitely relevant for everybody, not just somebody who is involved with growing up or living on a farm or the production aspect of things.